Alright, so we have made it to Module 6. End of the road, folks. And I kind of left this one open-ended to everyone who wanted some other questions answered. I tried to bring everything together in this last module here. So, Module 6, putting it all together. Alright, and so I think the question that keeps circulating in everyone else's minds, just based on the homework that I've seen over the past 6 weeks, and is the questions that keep coming up time and time again, is where or how does sprinting fit into everything else? And I think we're coming at it in a different angle. Right? I think we're asking the wrong question. It's my belief that we should be asking, where does everything else fit into sprinting? Right? So, if we're looking back towards Module 1, Alvar Meal's pyramid of hierarchy, Alvar Meal's hierarchy of athletic development, rather, speed sits alone at the top. Okay? There's a reason for that, right? Speed kills. Everything else falls short as compared to speed. Okay? Look at Charlie motor unit activation. Charlie Francis's motor unit activation chart. Right? Maximal sprints sits alone at the top. Okay? No amount of throws, jumps, deadlifting, alright, is going to come close to the amount of motor units involved when sprinting at max velocity. And we bring up the byproducts of faster running tree. Okay? So you're gonna touch on a lot of, if not everything, that everybody else has been asking for, right? You're gonna get strength, you're gonna get change of direction, you're gonna get agility, you're gonna get quickness, reaction time, all that stuff, just by simply faster running. It really is that simple, guys. So, I want to dive into the different qualities a little bit deeper. Right, given like a speed versus agility first. Okay. So, speed addresses multiple planes. Right. When I think of agility, I'm thinking mainly stop and go, side to side, right? Move and shake. Operating not exclusively, but mainly in the frontal plane. Okay. Well, speed also addresses the frontal plane. Yes, you are moving forwards, but the ability for the body to switch between their right and their left leg, pushing air into the opposite side of whichever leg is down, right? It's addressing the frontal plane in that way while moving in a straight line. Okay, so speed addresses multiple planes. You're going to hit higher velocities, you're going to hit higher force, right? And it's still very general. Okay, so there's less wear and tear on the body. A lot of that stopping and going, right, deep cutting and those angles, right, that's a lot of wear and tear on the athlete's connective tissue. It's hard. It's hard work. It definitely is. It'll beat you up, no doubt. And if we look at it like this way, like it kind of comes back to the speed reserve, right? So the faster we raise as coaches in athletes' max velocity, so too will their agility increase, right? Because you're moving at a sub-maximal speed, and you'll be able to make better decisions, right? When to stop, when to go, all right? Because you're moving at such a slower speed, right? There's more forebrain activity with agility, right? So with all the higher velocities and higher force outputs on each step when sprinting maximally, the easier all those cuts and change of direction or agility drills will be, because you're moving at such a slower speed as compared to sprinting, right? So I think speed is superior to agility in that sense. Okay, what about speed versus quickness? Speed versus quickness. Okay, so sprinting will increase reaction time, right? And how does it do that? Well, think of your brain like a phone, right? And when your phone says, you need to update it, and you don't, what happens? Well, it usually moves a little bit slower, doesn't work as well as it should. Okay? Well, think of sprinting updating your brain every time you sprint maximally, right? Because it's highly neural. It's not just muscular, right? It's kind of a software update. There's biochemical responses involved, serotonin, dopamine, things of that nature. So every time we expose our body to maximal velocity sprinting at a higher speed, okay, the quicker it'll be able to react for an in-game like situation there again, because it's still, even though quickness looks fast, it's still extremely slow as compared to one sprinting at max velocity, right? So sprinting will increase, or speed, training for linear speed will increase quickness, but train for quickness will not increase speed, right? And I think quickness is highly specific to the sport itself. And there's so much stop and go, so much reacting, right? In any sport, team-wise, right? Even track and field. Okay, they're gonna get all of that bullshit when they go into practice and in games, right? I think when we prepare athletes, we should be giving them things that they won't get in season, right? Because then, if people that say, well, we want our train to be as specific and as functional as possible. Well, it's like, well, why don't you just play football all year round then? Right? Well, we know that there's problems with that, right? As far as the body adapting, and once it reaches a certain point, it's like, oh, I'm not going to adapt any further. It's kind of like spelling your name, right? Once I figured out how to spell my name, Hunter, I can't spell Hunter any better, right? The only thing I can do is fuck it up, right? So be a better generalist, and I think raising maximal speed is a great way to do that. Okay, so speed trumps quickness. All right, well, what about weights? Speed versus weights. Okay, higher force, higher velocity increases strength. Okay, with weights, lower force, lower velocity, and with youth athletes, right? Weights can definitely increase speed until it doesn't, right? And we'll see why that is, or we'll touch on that a little bit later. But basically, it's just because a young person can't apply force. You get them stronger, they can apply more force. Those who can push the ground the hardest go forward the fastest, right? But there is a diminishing return on that, right? I don't think maximal strength and just keep pushing that ceiling is the way to go. I don't, right? Because I've seen it for myself. I've seen it with the athletes that I've been fortunate enough to work with. Okay, so. Right, and we can talk about VBT, right? I've heard that argument, right? So even if you're moving in a barbell extremely fast, upwards of 3.0 meters per second, yeah, that's fast, but it's not nearly as fast as somebody, even a beginner or a novice athlete will sprint faster than 3 meters per second, right? So I don't think it has that much carryover. I really don't. So I might piss a few people off in the group with that, but that's just the way I feel. So, going back to what we just talked about, it increases speed until it doesn't, right? Speed chases weights for beginners and youth athletes until weights chase speed, right? And how do we know when that switch occurs? It's really quite simple, right? If you're timing your athletes, when they start running slower, right, but yet their squat and their deadlift keep going up, something's probably got to change, right? The emphasis probably has to swing the other direction, right, in favor of speed there. Okay, so that's really the easiest way to figure it out, right? You keep getting stronger, right? Squat goes up, 10-yard dash goes up, squat goes up, 10-yard dash goes up, squat goes up, 10-yard dash goes down, stays the same. It's like, okay, well, I don't think we need to keep pushing the squat max up, right? Maybe we need to focus more on speed and opening up that envelope a little bit more, right? So, simple stuff. And I know this is speaking in absolutes, but Given my first-hand experience and as a coach, it's my belief that nothing in your program should come with a cost to linear speed. And I think that's the number one takeaway from this. Maybe number two, I don't know, but that's pretty important, right? Nothing in your program should come with a cost to linear speed. When you focus on any one quality more than speed, you lose speed. Okay, so if you want to focus on agility, all right, you're probably going to lose speed. You want to focus on quickness, you're probably going to lose speed. You want to focus on weights, you're probably going to lose speed. Okay, but when you focus on speed, you gain all those things. Okay, when you focus on speed, you gain all those things. Right? So, putting it all together for the private sector versus the team setting. Okay, in the private sector, at Freak Factory, I operate with my team in no longer than mesocycles. Okay, so we do month blocks at a time. Right? We see kids twice a week for either, and they're all under 3-month or 12-month contracts there. So I don't see the sense in going over anything more than a month at a time. Okay. In the team setting, which I've been a part of as well, I mean, you got to be ready to go OTS, man. You got to be ready to go OTS off the script, right? I mean, we had plans in place, but you know, as some of you in the team setting do know, you know, you're sort of the last stop, right? So there's school, there's practice, there's individual practice, there's, you know, the amount of absurd volume that the sport coach wants to put them through, right? So you gotta be ready to go to OTS, man. The only absolute and train are the kids standing right in front of you, right? So be ready to make a switch. That's what I would say with that. All right, private sector, putting it all together. Okay, so accumulation, speed remains constant, and the priority. Okay, so like as I've talked about in previous modules, we are hitting greater than or equal to 100 meters per session. All right, and we supplement that with both jumps and or throws. Okay, in an accumulation block, right, we're doing 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps. We operate on a tier system. Okay, so anybody who is not familiar with the tier system, it was made popular by Coach Joe Ken, and it's just simple for us, right? We do 3 lifts. That's it. 3 exercises, maybe 4. Okay, but we do a total body, a lower body, and an upper body, and it isn't always in that order, but that's the way we set up our week. And you know, big bang for your buck movements, compound lifts, train economies, skyrockets, low risk, high reward, win-win. Okay, and then in the intensification block, speed remains constant and the same, right? Now we're just obviously intensifying the means, right? Going from 8 to 12 reps to 3 to 6 reps. Okay. Now, the reason why we stay with accumulation and intensification, we don't really delve into our realization phase, is because for both accumulation and intensification, the training residuals on that, right, or the RTE, the residual training effect, is 30 days plus or minus 5 days. Okay, so we can take an entire month off of accumulation and work on just getting strong, right? But the residual training effect from the prior accumulation block stays with the kids for that whole month of intensification, right? And then when we flip-flop, go to accumulation again, we don't have to worry about losing strength because of the residual training effect there. Okay, so that's the way we do things there, and that's why we only accumulate and intensify the kids. Okay, hope that makes sense. With RTE, residual training effects, right, with speed remaining constant and the priority, right, the residual training effect for speed is 5 days plus or minus 3 days. Okay, so after the least amount, 2 days, after the most amount, 5 days, right, you might start detraining from speed. Okay, so that's why it's going to always remain the priority there. Okay, so this is what like a normal day would look like at my facility, right? So during an accumulation block, there's your 100 meters there. Again, going from shorter to longer ground contact times, falling starts, half kneeling starts, and then depth drops off of a box. All right, then we'll do 3 to 4 sets of 10 on the deadlift, goblet split squats, push-ups, yada yada yada. Okay, and so now you might be asking, well, why is it 3 or 4 or 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 on the lifting portion? The reason for that is we don't deload our kids because there's just a negative connotation with the word deload, right? Especially working in the private sector, kids, they don't want to think that they're going easy or taking it easy, right? So what we do is we put the deload in the front of each block, right? And we just call it an intro week. So and then we just slice off a set off of the first week, okay? So the first lift will be 3 sets, the second lift will be 2 sets, and the third lift will be 1 set, right? So it's all new stuff, so they're going to be sore regardless, right? So you're kind of masking a deload in the form of an intro by just putting it in the front, right? And then we come back and then we add a set for weeks 2 through 4 there. Okay, hope that makes sense, right? So we don't deload, we do an intro week, right? Just basically taking deload and putting it in the front, change the name. Okay, kids don't know any better. Then with the intensification block, again, a similar speed setup, 100 meters. Okay, jumps or throws, at least 12 reps, 15 somewhere in there. All right. And then we're just intensifying the means. That's it. Simple stuff, right? Okay, so a few of us in the group wanted to, or we're asking questions about how you would, structure your week. Can you take a week? Can you take a day and focus on speed? Take a day, focus on agility. Take a day, focus on quickness. And I mean, I get it, right? There is an art of selling to the parents involved, right? They're going to want to see some sort of stop and go. They're going to want to see some sort of reaction, stuff like that. So you can go ahead and, break up your week like this if you want to, or in a similar fashion. And we do something like this as well. But no matter what we're doing, yes, we might operate on a reaction basic for quickness, or in a frontal plane stop and go scenario for agility. But each thing we do will end in a linear sprint. Okay, so we might do something reactionary, but then then you're finishing in a straight line sprint. Okay, we might work something, a lateral shuffle across first step, but then we're finishing in a straight line. Okay, because nothing will come at a cost to the development of linear speed. Okay, so I hope that makes sense there. So what about deceleration? That was a question as well. What about deceleration? I don't spend any time on deceleration. Okay, and the reason why that is, what has to happen after each and every acceleration or sprint? Okay, the kids have to slow down. Excellent. There's your deceleration training right there. Okay? And if you wanted to train deceleration, right, do depth drops, right? Just simply get a kid stronger, right? When a middle school girl is doing a goblet squat, right, she got 80 pounds in her hands, right? She probably has to lower that thing down somewhat slow, right? Otherwise it's going to break her in half. She's going to go through my gym floor, right? So is she not training deceleration right there, right? Just simply slowing a weight down. Okay? So I think that's a little too overhyped in the industry, right? It's going to happen regardless. So just focus on getting the kids stronger, and you can train, an eccentric component with depth drops and jumps as well. So, I mean, I don't think I can make it any simpler than that. So, simple wins. So as far as the team setting is concerned, right, and we've talked about this, so there's an acceleration accumulation block, there's a power intensification block, and then there's an absolute speed realization block. So however you want to divvy up your weights, however long you want to make these phases, I'm good with. I mean, I don't care about that, about the weights. Right? I really don't. It's getting somebody stronger is pretty easy. Okay, but I think that's a fairly simple way to do it if we're looking for transfer, right? And then also just making sure that they're as fast and resilient as possible. So, with the team setting, so weights and speed volumes are determined by the hip height of the athlete I'm working with. Okay, so in American football, all right, my centers, my nose guards, my deep tackles, right, they're probably going to have a lot more strength work than my wideouts and cornerbacks. Okay, so does this mean that my linemen don't get exposed to max velocity? No. Does this mean that my cornerbacks don't do max effort in the weight room? No. Okay, and there's a link to a article that I wrote on that hip height considerations. So, and I'll link that in the comments underneath this when I post it. But that's the way we've done it when we have our college athletes, our college guys this summer. Is for example, our big guys back up. Everybody will start out in the field with me. Okay. Once our bigs have met their speed volume for the day, they go in the weight room. Now I'm just left with big skill and skill. And then once big skill has met their speed volume for the day, they go into the weight room. All right. And then lastly, once the wideouts and corners have met their speed volume, they go in the weight room. Okay. So my bigs are the first off the field, right? First in the weight room. And my little guys, my skill players, are the last off the field and the last in the weight room. Okay, so big guys, least amount of sprint volume, most amount of weights volume. Corners, least amount of weights, most amount of speed. And then my big skill linebackers, tight ends, right? They meet somewhere in the middle there. So that's the way we've done it in the past. Right? Put it simply, big athletes need less speed work. Small athletes need more speed work because their position demands it. Okay. So, I believe it was Jack asked this question as far as microdosing or how you would lay out a week in season. And the day after a game, day or two after a game, I think it's important to work on accelerations, right? In a microdosing fashion, 30 to 50% of whatever maximal volume you hit in the off season. Do that, but in an acceleration fashion, right? 10 to 30 meters, somewhere in there. Okay? Because the biggest thing, the day after the game, 2 days after the game, before they go into their first practice of the week, is just to reactivate and reset tissue, right? Just make sure things are firing properly the way they need to, right? Because trauma from the game shuts down tissue, right? So let's reactivate and reset it. Okay? Then in the middle of the week, right, maybe a Wednesday or Thursday, at least 2 days before the game, boom. Then you can tap them with some max velocity there, which will also carry over into their the next practice, the day before the game, right? And then that's when you tap them again with acceleration there. Okay. I think that's really the simplest way to do it. Day one, reactivate, reset tissue, make sure everything's firing properly. Okay, ready to attack the week. Middle of the week, tap them with max velocity, right, to make sure they not only keep their speed, but possibly gain it, right? And then also all those benefits that we've talked about in the past, from resiliency and injury prevention benefits of max velocity, right? Hitting that middle of the week, and then day three, day before the game, tap them again with some acceleration stuff. Okay? Any questions on that, please let me know in the comments section. Alright, so then there was another question about getting parent and or coaches to buy in. Okay, I understand that. Alright, so there's typically a couple of different ways I'll go about this. Alright, with coaches, I've just nodded my head and smiled, and then I'll just do whatever the hell I want to anyways. Right? Just say, yeah, we're going to work on foot speed and all that bullshit. Yep, yes, and then go ahead and just do whatever you're going to do anyways. Okay? Use language, right? Andy McCloy talks about, right, being the supplement, not the show, right? We are here to simply be the supplement to the great thing that you are already doing, right? It is not our intention to be the show. It is our intention to supplement what you got going on, right? And then lastly, you can also use this option, which is to enter into a crucial conversation, right? Start with heart, state the facts, then come to a shared mutual purpose, right? So, hey, Coach, I understand where you're coming from. Really appreciate you wanting to give your 2 cents and be a part of what we're doing here, right? But the fact of the matter is, we do need to expose them to max velocity and linear speed because it does have numerous amounts of benefits for the athletes, performance benefits, and then as well as keeping the guys safe and healthy throughout the year. So what do you and I have to do to make sure that that happens? Right? So simple. Start with heart, state the facts, come to a shared mutual purpose. Okay? And then with the parents, just be lazy. And what I mean by that is take the monkey off your back and put it on theirs. Okay, so if they say, well, I want my daughter to have faster feet. You're like, okay, well then, what does faster feet look like to you? I want my daughter to jump higher. Well, what does that look like to you? I want my son to have that burst or surge. Well, what does that look like to you? Okay, so keep putting the ball back in their court, right? And then answer the questions, and then you're directing the conversation from there, right? So that's the way that we've done it at Freak Factory, and it seems to work pretty well. So just try not to spearhead your way through the conversation. Just being lazy, asking questions, nod your head and smiling, all that good stuff there. Okay. So this is the end already. That's crazy. with the homework for Module 6 now. All right. Did this masterclass meet your expectations? All right. I want you to post that in the group, please. I also want you to post how I could have done a better job, right? What was missing? What would you have liked to see more of? Okay? And then this is asterisked because I only want it if you got immense value out of it. Okay? Because the next time I offer this course, it won't be free, right? It'll be $597. Okay? So if you feel like you got $597 worth of value or more, right, please email me a video, which is preferred, okay, or a written testimonial, okay, so I can use it for the next time I do this class, okay. And then my email again is hunter@sharneskipower.com. All right. So homework. Did this masterclass meet your expectations? Yes or no? How could it have been better? Right? And then if you feel like you got at least $600 worth of value or more, testimonial, please. Okay? So, what is the next step? Right? So you still want more help. You still want to take it your speed and programming prowess to the next level. All right? Where can we go from here? All right, well, there's a few different ways we can do this. All right, so we can do Zoom consulting. Right, you and I are consulting on a one-on-one basis with limited access. Okay, there's Zoom consulting with unlimited access. Right, so you can email me as many times as you would like. Okay, and then there's in-person consulting. So I can come to you, you can come to me. Right, if this is something you feel is important to your development, then let's talk about which step works best for you. All right. I think that's all I got for you guys. It's been a riot to work with you guys this past 6 weeks. I appreciate everything, and yeah, sprint or die. Thanks, guys.